Om Sai Ram. Chapter 39 Sri Sai Nathai Namaha. Baba's knowledge of Sanskrit. His interpretation of a verse from Gita. Construction of the Samadhi Mandir. This chapter deals with Baba's interpretation of a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, as some people believed that Baba knew no Sanskrit, and the interpretation was Nana Sahib's Chandorkar's. Hemad Pant wrote another chapter refuting that objection. As the chapter number 50 deals with the same subject matter, it is incorporated in this chapter. Preliminary. Blessed is Shirdi and blessed is Dwarika Mai, where Sri Sai lived and moved until he took Mahasamadhi. Blessed are the people of Shirdi whom he obliged and for whom he came such long distance. Shirdi was a small village first, but it attained great importance on account of his contact and became a tirtha, holy place of pilgrimage. Equally blessed are the women folk of Shirdi. Blessed is their whole and undivided faith in him. They sang the glories of Baba while bathing, grinding, pounding corn, and doing other household work. Blessed is their love, for they sang sweet songs which calm and pacify the minds of the singers and listeners. Baba's interpretation. Nobody believed that Baba knew Sanskrit. One day he surprised all by giving a good interpretation of a verse from the Gita to Nana Sahib Chandorkar. A brief account about this matter was written by Dr. B.V. Deo, retired Mamaldar, and published in Marathi in Sri Sai Leela magazine. Short account of the same are also published in Sai Baba's Charters and Sayings, page 61, and in the Wondrous Saint Sai Baba, page 36, both by Brother B. V. Narasimha Swami. Mr. B. V. Deo has also given an English version of this in his statement dated 27/9/1936 and published on page 66 of Devotees' Experiences, part 3rd, published by the said Swami. As Mr. Deo has got first-hand information about this subject from Nana Sahib himself, we give below his version. Nana Sahib Chandorkar was a good student of Vedanta. He had read Gita with commentaries and prided himself on his knowledge of all that. He fancied that Baba knew nothing of all this or of Sanskrit. So Baba one day pricked the bubble. These were the days before crowds flocked to Baba, when Baba had solitary talks at the mosque with such devotees. Nana was sitting near Baba and massaging his legs and muttering something. Baba: Nana, what are you mumbling yourself? Nana: I am reciting a shlok from Sanskrit. Baba: what shloka? Nana: from Bhagavad Gita. Baba: utter it loudly. Nana then recited, which is as follows. Ta didhi pranipaten pariprashnen sevaya updechyanti te jnanam jnani nast tattva darshinaha. Baba: Nana, do you understand it? Nana said, yes. Then Baba said, if you do, then tell me. Nana replied, it means this: making Shashtang Namaskar, that is prostration, questioning the Guru, serving him, learn what this Janana is. Then those Jananis that have attained the real knowledge of the Sadvastu, that is Brahma, will give you Upadesha, instruction of Janana. Baba said, Nana, I do not want this sort of collected purport of the whole stanza. Give me each word, its grammatical force and meaning. Then Nana explained it word by word. Baba, Nana, is it enough to make prostration merely? Nana said, I do not know any other meaning for the word pranipat than making prostration. Baba, what is pariprashna? Nana, asking questions. Baba, what does prashna mean? Nana, the same questioning. Baba asked again, if pariprashna means the same as prashna, why did Vyas add the prefix pari? Was Vyas off his head? Nana replied, I do not know of any other meaning for the word pariprashna. Baba said, Seva, what sort of seva is meant? Nana said, just what we are doing always. Baba said, is it enough to render such service? Nana said, I do not know what more is signified by the word seva. Baba replied, in the next line, Upadeshyanti te jananam, can you so read it as to read any other word in lieu of jananam? Nana said, yes, Baba. What word? Nana said, ajnanam. Baba replied, taking that word instead of janana, is any meaning made out of the verse? Nana said, no, Shankara Bhasya gives no such construction. Baba replied, never mind if it does not. Is there any objection to using the word ajnana if it gives a better sense? Nana replied, I do not understand how to construe by placing ajnana in it. Baba explained, why does Krishna refer Arjuna to Jananis or Tatvadarshis to do his prostration, interrogation, and service? Was not Krishna a Tatvadarshi? In fact, Janana himself. Nana said, yes, he was, but I do not make out of why he referred Arjuna to Jananis. Baba replied, have you not understood this? Nana was humiliated. His pride was knocked on the head. Then Baba began to explain. Number 1. It is not enough merely to prostrate before the Jananis. We must make Saraswat Sharnagati, that is complete surrender to the Sadguru. Number 2. Mere questioning is not enough. This question must not be made with any improper motive or attitude or to trap the Guru and catch at mistakes in the answer or out of idle curiosity. It must be serious and with a view to achieve moksha or spiritual progress. Number 3. Seva is not rendering service, retaining still the feeling that one is free to offer or refuse service. One must feel that he is not the master of the body, that the body is Guru's, and exists merely to render service to him. If this is done, the Sadguru will show you what the Janana referred to in the previous stanza is. Nana did not understand what is meant by saying that a Guru teaches Ajnana. Baba, how is Janana Upadesh, imparting of realization, to be effected? Destroying ignorance is Janana. Removal of ignorance is like this. O Arjun, if dream and sleep disappear, you are yourself. It is like that. Is there anything different or independent in Janana besides the destruction of ignorance? Expelling darkness means light. Destroying duality means non-duality. Whenever we speak of destroying Dvaita, we speak of Advaita. Whenever we talk of destroying darkness, we talk of light. If we have to realize the Advaita state, the feeling of Dvaita in ourself has to be removed. That is the realization of the Advaita state. Who can speak of Advaita while remaining in Dvaita? If one did, unless one gets into that state, how can one know it and realize it? Again, the Shishya, like the Sadguru, is really embodiment of Janana. The difference between the two lies in the attitude, high realization, marvelous, superhuman sattva, and unrivaled capacity, and Aishwarya Yoga, divine powers. The Sadguru is Nirguna, Satchit Anand. He has indeed taken human form to elevate mankind and raise this world. But his real Nirgun nature is not destroyed thereby, even a bit. His reality, divine power, and wisdom remain undiminished. The disciple also, in fact, of the same Swarupa, but it is overlaid by the fact of the sanskaras of innumerable births in the shape of ignorance, which hides from his view that he is Shuddha Chaitanya. As stated therein, he gets the impressions, I am Jiva, a creature, humble and poor. The Guru has to root out these offshoots of ignorance and has to give upadesh or instruction to the disciple held spellbound for endless generation by the ideas of his being a creature, humble and poor. The Guru imparts in hundreds of births the teaching, you are God, you are mighty and opulent. Then he realizes a bit that he is God really. The perpetual delusion under which the disciple is laboring, that he is the body, that he is a creature or ego, that God, Paramatma, and the world are different from him, is an error inherited from innumerable past births. From actions based on it, he has derived his joy, sorrows, and mixtures of both. To remove this delusion, this error, this root ignorance, he must start the inquiry. How did the ignorance arise? Where is it? And to show him, this is called the Guru's Upadesh. The following are the instances of Ajnana. Number 1, I am a Jeev, a creature. Number 2, body is the soul, I am the body. Number 3, God, world, and Jeev are different. Number 4, I am not God. Number 5, not knowing that body is not the soul. Number 6, not knowing that God, world, and Jiva are one. Unless these errors are exposed to his view, the disciple cannot learn what is God, Jeev, world, body, and how they are interrelated, and whether they are different from each other or are one and the same. To teach him these and destroy his ignorance is the instruction in Janana or Ajnana. Why should Janana be imparted to the Jeev, who is Janna Murti? Updesh is merely to show him his error and destroy his ignorance. Baba added, Pranipat implies surrender. Number 2, surrender must be of body, mind, and wealth. Number 3, why should Krishna refer Arjun to other Jananis? Sadbhakt takes everything to be Vasudeva. Any guru will be Krishna to the devotee, and Guru takes disciples to be Vasudev, and Krishna treats both as his prana and Atma. As Sri Krishna knows that there are such bhaktas and gurus, he refers Arjuna to them so that their greatness may increase and be known. Construction of the Samadhi Mandir. Baba never talked nor ever made any fuss about the things which he wanted to accomplish, but he so skillfully arranged the circumstances and surroundings that the people were surprised at the slow but sure results attained. The construction of the Samadhi Mandir is an instance in point. Shriman Bapu Sahib Bhuti, the famous multimillionaire of Nagpur, lived in Shirdi with his family. Once an idea arose in his mind that he should have a building of his own there. Sometime after this, while he was sleeping in Dikshit's Wada, he got a vision. Baba appeared in his dream and ordered him to build a Wada of his own with temple. Shama, who was sleeping there, got also a similar vision. When Bapu Sahib was awakened, he saw Shama crying and asked him why. The latter replied that in his vision, Baba came close to him and ordered distinctly, "Build the Vada with the temple. I shall fulfill the desires of all." Hearing the sweet and loving words of Baba, I was overpowered with emotions. My throat was choked. My eyes were overflowing with tears. I began to cry. Bapu Sahib was surprised to see that both their visions tallied. Being a rich and capable man, he decided to build a Vada there and drew up a plan with Madhav Rao. Kaka Sahib Dikshit also approved of it, and when it was placed before Baba, he also sanctioned it immediately. Then the construction work was duly started and under the supervision of Shama. The ground floor, the cellar, and the well were completed. Baba, also on his way to and from Lendi, suggested certain improvements. Further work was entrusted to Bapu Sahib Jog, and when it was going on, an idea struck Bapu Sahib Bhuti's mind that there should be an open room or platform, and in the center the image of Murlidhar, Lord Krishna, with the flute will be installed. He asked Shama to refer this matter to Baba and get his consent. The latter asked Baba about this when he was just passing by the Vada. Hearing Shama, Baba gave his consent, saying, "After the temple is complete, I will come there to stay." And staring at the Vada, he added, "After the Vada is complete, we shall use it ourselves. We shall live, move, and play there, embrace each other, and be very happy." Then Shama asked Baba whether this was the auspicious time to begin the foundation work of the central room of the shrine. The latter answered in the affirmative. Shama got a coconut, broke it, and started the work. In due time, the work was completed, and an order was also given for making a good image of Murlidhar. But before it was ready, a new thing turned up. Baba became seriously ill and was about to pass away. Bapu Sahib became very sad and dejected, thinking that if Baba passed away, his Vada would not be consecrated by the holy touch of Baba's feet, and all his money, about 1,00,000 rupees, would be wasted away. But the words, "place or keep me in the Vada," which came out of Baba's mouth just before his passing away, consoled not only Bapu Sahib but one and all. In due time, Baba's holy body was placed and preserved in the central shrine meant or designed for Murlidhar, and Baba himself became Murlidhar, and the Wada thus became the Samadhi Mandir of Sai Baba. His wonderful life is unfathomable. Blessed and fortunate is Bapu Sahib Buddhi, in whose Wada lies the holy and the pure body of Baba. Om Namo Shri Sai Nathai Namaha. End of chapter 39. Om Sai Ram.